Flip it. Uh-oh, flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it. Hey, 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 we got Cam in the house. Hey, 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 hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. Can
What's
you hear
good?
me?
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? So, hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Stephen and Cam, where we keep it 100 all day, every single day of our lives. Keep pushing forward, no matter
Yeah.
what. Today we got a little special episode, you know what I'm saying? Um, we really be dropping podcasts like albums. No cap. Like that's like our style, you know. Look at his
Whatever
face.
you say to make you feel
Look at
better.
his face. Look at his face. But today we are tackling the biggest game, the biggest championship almost in the world. Why does it make it the biggest championship? Because there's only one. It's one and done. You win, you're the champs. You lose, no one remembers you. And of course, we're talking about.
Well, they do remember you.
Well, they do. Oh, I got. Well, they do remember you, but they remember you for sucking. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we have to go through that 28-3. I hate it. I hate the 28-3 jokes because you're facing greatness. Like, like it's cool. Like, but I really, we can tackle that another time. But we're gonna tackle the Super Bowl today. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not an avid Philadelphia fan. I'm so glad that my Falcons took them down this season earlier when Kirk Cousins was looking like the second coming of Matt Ryan. I don't know. But that's the matchup we have. It's not a particularly popular matchup in terms of fatigue, and this happened 2 years ago with Rihanna doing the halftime show. But we are back, and this is the matchup. The Philadelphia Eagles taking down the Washington Commanders, and the Kansas City Chiefs taking down the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of people have a lot of stuff to say about the matchup. But Cam, what is your immediate reaction? Well, today's Tuesday, so we have till Sunday. What is your reaction? And what do you think? How do you think the game's gonna go?
Lord have mercy. Um, my reaction to the championship games were the Commanders and Eagles matchup wasn't surprising. We can all kind of see that coming, like a young team versus a veteran team. Like that was probably going to happen. And then in terms of Kansas City and Buffalo, the Bills got a first down. I don't care what nobody's saying. That was a first down. The game should have been over, and we should be seeing the Bills and Eagles playing the Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there. And then in terms of the Super Bowl, what do I think is going to happen? I think it's going to be a typical Kansas City victory. I
Typical
think it's going to
Kansas City
be
dub.
I
Mhm.
think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to come down to just like how it did the first time they played. It's going
Mhm.
to come down to that one possession at the end where there's a holding call,
Mhm.
and it's going to keep the chains moving for Kansas City, and then they're going to score, and then Philly's not going to have enough time to really answer or respond. And I think it's going to at the end of it, it's going to be a good game, but I think for most majority fans, like NFL fans, I think they're probably going to be sick of the result because it's kind of like you can kind of see it coming every time when Kansas City plays. Because when you think about it this year, Kansas City, outside of Steve Spagnuolo's defense, they don't do anything on the offensive side that sets them apart, from other teams like their last Super Bowl was worse than this team, but it's still kind of like that same thing where it's like once Tyreek left, they kind of don't have like that explosive player.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like their offense is very it's not vanilla because you got Patrick Mahomes. But you know what I mean? Like it's not
Mhm.
one thing that when you watch them play offensively, you go, that is going to be the reason they win the game outside of Patrick Mahomes. He is their whole offense.
Mhm.
And it's just gonna be interesting to see how Philly's defense plays them. Like if Philly wants to win that game, they gotta you gotta sack Patrick Mahomes. Like you can't pressure him. You have to sack him. That's
Mhm.
gotta be the game plan. Get 15 on the ground. I don't care if you're bringing pressure and you got him scrambling. He always scrambles and he's going to find somebody wide open. Like you have to bring him to the ground. And then for Philadelphia offensively, they got to figure out how to get the run game going with Saquon. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the Chiefs' defense is very, very good. It is. It's
Mm-hmm.
not elite of the elite, but it is one of the best defenses in the league, and especially during this playoff span, they have been one of the best defenses in the
Best
playoffs.
defense that they'll face all year.
Best team that the Eagles has faced all year.
Mm-hmm. Chiefs. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher all season.
Who, the Chiefs?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Because that's my question. Because that's my thing. So we know that the Eagles are led by the rushing game with Saquon, and that's definitely helped them. It made Jalen Hurts' job easier throughout the playoffs. When you know you can hand it to a back, and your offensive line is going to block, and your back is going to at least tug for 20, maybe take it to the house. Now we're facing a defense where it could be they could cause us issues. So the question is,
they
I
could, but
I
then
think
I
the key to the
watch.
game, but I think the
But
key to the game is Jalen Hurts. Because if the Chiefs do somehow stifle Saquon, I don't think they're gonna stop him completely. I don't think
mhm,
they've been playing too good. But if
mhm,
they can stifle him and make him not as effective, maybe, kind of bend don't break, like let him take it 20 yards, that's cool, but you didn't score. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. It's gonna really be on Jalen Hurts' back to be able to run the rollout, get yards with his legs, but also get the balls to his receivers, his very good receivers that are paid a lot of money. Now he did that in the last
right.
Super Bowl, but as of late, I know he did good in the Commanders game, but the game before that, who they
The
play?
Rams.
The Rams, the Rams, the Rams, the Rams. That was the big concern because Saquon, of course, went crazy.
But you also got to think about it too. In that Rams game, it was different because you had the weather.
Hmm.
So that changes the way that you have to play. You're not going to air it out anyway. You're not going to put, your quarterback in position where he has to drop back. And then they got the run game going in that game, and it really took pressure off of them. I mean, like, I agree what you're saying in that retrospect. But when you also look at what the Bills were able to do with James Cook versus the Chiefs,
Hmm.
if James Cook was would have been the player of the game if the Bills won that game. And
Hmm.
when you think about it, towards the end of the game, when the Bills had the ball, they should have handed it off. They should have had Cook in there. And that's one thing that I've noticed about the teams in the AFC, in terms of like the Ravens and the Bills, is sometimes on offense they do some questionable stuff. Like
Hmm.
like you look at the Ravens and the Bills, the Ravens should have won that game. But you look at the stats and you realize that Derrick Henry only had 16 carries in the whole game. That's that's mind-boggling to me. When you go to the Bills, James Cook is torturing the Chiefs. Like he was slashing them. He was
Hmm.
getting almost 5 yards to carry, if not more.
Hmm.
Why not hand him the ball and like football is a simple game.
Well,
So it's
I
going to
think I can
really
answer the
come down
question.
to that,
I
in
think
my opinion.
I think I can answer the question at least about the Bills because they were down early. So the Chiefs had already put them in a position where they had to throw the ball if they wanted to make sure that they were going to stay competitive. Because remember, because I was just watching the highlights
And
last night.
and I understand that, but I'm saying once you got the lead, once you had control of the game, because still, even if when the one of the best things about being down early is that it's early.
Hmm.
So you still have time and you
Hmm.
can run. The best thing to do if you're down early is to take one possession, run the ball down the field, and then score a touchdown, however you have to get it. But that's one of the best things you can do when you're down early. Because once you start just feeling pressure and you start throwing it, then you start putting your quarterback in positions where he feels pressure. And next thing you know, there's an interception here, there's a strip
Hmm.
sack there. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the best things you can do. And that's what they
Hmm.
did to get back into the game. They started giving the ball to James Cook to get back into the game. So then
Hmm.
when the game got pressurized, then you started trying to force Josh Allen, which Josh Allen's an athletic quarterback, but when you have a running back to do it, use him. It's not hard. Use them, and it like
All right.
and that's going to be the thing with Philadelphia because Nick Sirianni is an emotional coach and he's an aggressive coach, right? So let's say they get down. Is he going to continue to try to give the ball to Saquon, or is he going to feel the pressure of the moment and start running trick plays and doing stuff that they normally don't do that will in the long run harm the team?
But that's
That's just
that's a
going to be
good point.
interesting to see.
That's a good point. That's a good point. When we match up, I know that these teams have met up before, but
Hmm.
experience. Now the Chiefs been doing this. This is what their fourth one, or is it fourth or fifth? It
What
was
Super Bowl
that
appearance?
they've been to. They won against San Francisco, lost
No,
against
this is
Tampa.
their like fifth one. I think
They
this is the
beat
fifth.
the Eagles. They beat San Francisco again. So this is their fifth. This is their fifth title in how many years?
I think
Our fifth
seven,
title
five and
game.
seven,
So
five out of seven. I think something like that.
it's safe to say, with the amount of players that have been retained from each team from the beginning, that this is just kind of like all right, like they said, annual Super Bowl picture for Patrick Mahomes. When will we see that experience play in the game versus the Eagles? Now, the Eagles, now a lot of their team has been there. It's only been 2 years ago, but you know, five versus one. So when are we going to see that experience in the game?
Well, I think the experience factor, it doesn't really matter in this matchup because this Eagles team was just in the Super Bowl only 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been there before against this same team. You know what I mean? So it's not like this situation where it's like, okay, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl versus an AFC team that went on a crazy run that really shouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's not one of those situations where this is their first time ever seeing Patrick Mahomes. They
Mm-hmm.
faced this team before.
And in the
Pretty
regular
much
season last year.
Exactly. So this is not their first time running into this team. I don't think the experience is going to be a problem because
Mm-hmm.
you got vets like Darius Slay and Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts. I mean, like they all those key pieces that
Mm-hmm.
was on the Super Bowl team 2 years ago, for the most part, are still there.
Mm-hmm. So,
So that's
bringing that up. So I want to bring attention to more of the D line, front seven, SEC players.
that's going to be a fun game to watch. That's
Yeah,
that
but
front seven.
as we know, like I want to just call back what you said earlier. You said they have to get Patrick Mahomes on the ground. You can't just pressure him because he's got the
Right,
baseball speed. He's gonna get out of it. He's like little
right,
like sneaky agile, gonna get the ball out, find Travis Kelsey somewhere.
right.
So obviously, key to the game defensively for them is probably going to be Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, that whole D line, Jordan
Yes.
Davis. Like you said, they're getting back Brandon Graham. He was hurt, so like, what are we going to see in terms of they have a lot of young D line, a lot of young front seven, led by vets, but a lot of young guys like a Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, stuff like that. Is that going to play a factor? Because we can see the vets make a couple plays, but if that whole front seven, and especially with Nakobe Dean being out, like he's not going to play, how do you
Hmm.
see that playing a factor into the game?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Nakobe Dean has been injury prone most of his career so far.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I don't think that's not a red flag because they're
Mm-hmm.
used to playing with him not being there.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Carter was it? This is rookie or second year? This is second year, right?
So, mm-hmm.
So he played against he played against Patrick Mahomes when they played in the regular season last year.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I'm saying, that I don't think the whole experience and the young people versus vets, I don't think that plays a factor in this
And they
game.
played in big games. These are national champions. So,
Two-time national
Mhm.
champion. So again, none of that matters. They've been in big games. Chiefs been in big games. They've
Mm-hmm.
played the Chiefs in big games. So it's like none of that extracurricular stuff matters, which does make you think that this time around the Eagles legit can win it
Mm-hmm.
because the first time they played, it's a possibility that that experience played a factor. I mean, you had Nick Sirianni, first time head coach, first Super Bowl. Like, yeah. Now your second time through, some of the stuff that was new to them in the first Super Bowl is going to be normal. They know how in terms of media,
Mm-hmm.
handling media night. transportation, practice, understanding that the Super Bowl halftime show or halftime is longer than your regular season halftime. You know what I mean? So it's like all of those logistical things that maybe the Eagles struggled with the first go around, they'll
Hmm.
have that all figured out this time around because they've done it already before. Same thing when it comes to game planning. The game plan is probably not going to change, especially this point in the season. The game plan that you had versus a team, um whatever tendencies that a team has at this point when you make it to the championship game, that
Hmm.
is a tendency that's going to be there because nobody's going to be able to change that in 2 weeks. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to, and this gonna sound like the Nick Sabans and Kirby Smarts, but it's true. It's gonna come down to who's gonna execute, who's gonna tackle, and who's gonna do all of those the small things the best. That's really what
Hmm.
it boils down to. If you're gonna, like I said, it's not about pressures in this game. You got to tackle, sack them, bring them to the ground.
Hmm.
Period.
Hmm. So,
We can't have holding penalties on the offensive line. Now that is a question that's going to be interesting for the Eagles because
hmm.
they had the center and the guard that got hurt and during the playoff run against the Rams and against the Commanders.
Hmm.
So if those guys are back this week, I have to look at the injury report because I'm not sure.
I think
But
they
if
are. I
those
think they said they weren't gonna not play.
Okay, so if they have that center
Hmm.
and guard situation figured out, then again, this is going to be it's going to be a good matchup. I
Hmm.
do just wish that I do wish we got the Detroit Lions and the Ravens. That was just my personal preference
Hmm.
for teams. But I think it's a good matchup in terms of the Chiefs versus the Eagles because I
Hmm.
think if it was the Commanders versus the Chiefs probably would have won by a landslide.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think, given what we have, this is probably the best matchup we could have got. Um,
Yeah. I definitely think it was the best matchup. So we're at halftime at our Chiefs convo. I have a couple more topics after halftime, but we all know that the halftime show at the Super Bowl is K. Dot Kendrick Lamar.
and Scissor.
And SZA and more. They said that and more guests. So I honestly think probably some Tyler the Creator, probably I think Schoolboy Q, a lot of people from TDE are probably gonna be up there on the stage
Mm-hmm,
with him. Now,
mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Since it's in concurrent media, when and we're gonna put this online just so like just in case our prediction is true. When in the show do you think Not Like Us is gonna be played? Beginning, middle, or end, or like I don't know, quarters. I don't know. It's only like 18 minutes
Um, yeah, I think it's gonna be at the end.
at the end.
Yeah, if I was doing the show, I would put it at the end
Hmm.
because that's what everybody's watching for anyway.
Hmm.
Like I'm just being honest. Like the average fan, they know
Hmm.
they're not gonna know all of Kendrick's songs, right?
Hmm.
But they'll know that one.
Hmm.
So I would put that at the end one because you hold on to the viewers longer because they just gonna be waiting for it. They're just
Hmm.
gonna be sitting there looking, eyes wide open, mouth wide open, waiting for it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I say put that at the end. Shoot, give us what the people want.
I
He
think,
he typically does a good show.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good show. I think for my prediction, um, I don't really know when. I just think I know how, and since obviously has some
How
as
you gonna change the question up? Nah, you gotta answer the question.
fine, fine,
When?
fine, fine, fine. I think it's gonna come towards probably the last quarter of the show because
So the end.
maybe not. I think maybe
Oh
the first,
Lord.
maybe right. Okay, this is my final answer. I think right before like the middle of the show, he'll do it, or right
So
at
the
the
middle.
yeah. So maybe like in the middle because I think he's gonna end on "We Gonna Be All Right." I think he's gonna end on that.
I think he's gonna start with that.
You think he's gonna start? Okay,
Mhm.
that's interesting prediction. Interesting.
Actually, I
Not
think
me
that
up
might
here
go.
with the
That
Drake take care.
I
People
think
don't want
I think
flames on me.
I
I do like
think
Drake, but I also like Kendrick.
I think that might be either in the beginning or the middle. Or I wouldn't be surprised if he don't perform it at all because he performed at the last Super Bowl. Well, the most recent one that he performed in.
Really? He did? He performed all right.
I
That
think
was
he
the
did
LA.
when
That was LA versus the Bengals, right?
yeah, I think he performed it in that
Mhm.
one. Because I know he was in that show. I think
Yeah,
he
he
did
was
that
in
song
it.
though.
He was in it. He was in it. He might have. He might have.
So we'll
So
see.
So one thing that I've been bringing up, and everyone's like, okay, Super Bowl's in New Orleans. Why isn't it Lil Wayne? Da, da, da. Let me put it like this, everybody. NFL's a business. Kendrick had a really good year in terms of the diss tracks and everything. And he dropped this album. It's good. Got some good tracks with SZA. He's going on tour. Now, I'm telling y'all right now, do not get upset because the next person who's doing the Super Bowl halftime show will be Taylor Swift. I'm putting it on everything. It's Taylor Swift. Because let me tell you why. Taylor Swift, of course, with the onset of her dating Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl, she's gonna be there, obviously. Taylor Swift might even come out. She has a song with Kendrick Lamar, which will even confirm my theory that she is going to be the next one. But they're giving us this is the first like solo rap headline to like hip hop headline to like headline the Super Bowl.
Is it?
Hmm.
No, it's not.
Hmm. I mean, you have the tribute to LA a couple years ago, but it's like this is his thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like a montage then.
But
But
I
like
mean, but it
that's what they said.
wasn't wasn't the
That's what they've
Super
been
Bowl
marketing
in
it as.
wasn't the Super Bowl in LA the Eminem?
No, it wasn't just Eminem. It was like all of them. It was Dr. Dre.
No, I know he invited all them folks out there, but wasn't it? No, it was Dr. Dre's headline. He was headlining it, right? Or was it Dr. Dre was headlining it, right?
I guess if you want to, but they've been marketing this one as like, oh, this is the first like, oh, like it's just him and he can bring who it's like his free reign, his songs. You know what I'm saying?
I
Because
guess.
Dr. Dre has a lot of songs with a lot of different people and he's produced a lot of songs.
Right, right,
So it's
right,
like, that was more of a
right. Because he's
like,
more of a producer. I guess he's like
yeah,
a rapper, but recent,
hmm,
current time producer.
yeah.
I guess.
So this is the first one. So I'm just saying, y'all getting y'all real rapper headline this year. Y'all getting Taylor Swift next year. I'm telling you right now, don't get mad.
Oh Lord.
Don't get mad because they're not gonna care.
Where's Super Bowl at next year? San Francisco? Oh yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. On her
Yeah.
tour. Come
Yeah.
on, y'all connect the dots.
I can see that.
Don't come back mad. We're putting this clip on Instagram too, because like, yeah, no, it's definitely gonna be Taylor Swift next year. There's no way. So
All
now,
right.
moving on back to two topics that we can close out the Super Bowl conversation with. One is the voodoo magic or the miraculous calls that the Chiefs get. Okay. And, they've addressed it in the Super Bowl media talking about, oh, we're hated, da da da, all that stuff. Now, us firsthand, we've witnessed it. Kyle Pitts, that was a pass interference on defense. We didn't get the call. Chiefs ended up winning the game. There have been a lot of different games this season that have had that moniker of the Chiefs get a late call, pass interference, holding, gets them first down, puts them in position to make a play or not even make a play or get in field goal position or scoring position. Now, speaking to understandably, people saying the rest carrying them, understandably, voodoo magic as it will. Now, sometimes I do still have to make plays to get into those positions. But what are your thoughts on that, Cam?
I mean, you know how the saying goes. You either live long enough to be you either die. What's the saying? You
They
live
said
long enough to be the hero,
you either die a
die
hero or live long enough that
live to
you
be the
become a
villain.
villain. That might
Hmm.
be the title of this
I think,
episode.
yeah, I think that's what happened. I think that's exactly what happened
Mm-hmm.
because we was all rooting for Patrick Mahomes versus the 49ers. We were. I
Mm-hmm.
was. We was rooting for Patrick Mahomes against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they rattled off two in a row, and now everybody tired of
And everyone like,
it.
and everyone like,
Now everybody tired of it. So now
mm-hmm.
you become the villain because once you reach a certain status, people now the target's on your back, and
Mm-hmm.
people try to bring you down. That's just how it goes. In terms of like the calls and stuff, I mean, yeah, they do get away with some calls.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. They do, but I mean, that's kind of what comes with territory when you a two-time Super Bowl champ and you have one of the greatest players of all time at the quarterback position on your team. We saw the same stuff with Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like when he was with the Patriots, they got some calls that went their way
Mm-hmm.
that probably shouldn't have. But I mean that comes with the territory. And then like James Cook said, when you're playing football or you coaching football, you gotta execute.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave it. You every week when they're game planning, you'd say, okay, this week we got to play the Chiefs. If you're going into Arrowhead, is you got to deal with the fans, you got to deal with the Chiefs, and then you got to deal with the refs. One. One of those three things can be eliminated, and that's
Mm-hmm.
deal with the refs. You have to be on your P's and Q's.
Mm-hmm.
Those two other things are external factors that you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
You can control the refs. You can control holding penalties. Now, some stuff is effort plays. Effort plays are like, let's say, you had a guard on a stretch play or outside zone play, and he's running, trying to block the D tackle. But you're trying to widen the gap out, right? So he's running, and he kind of holds on, but it's an effort play. You know what I mean? He's not doing nothing stupid like a
Mm-hmm.
personal foul or a roughing the passer call where he's just standing there and you just push the quarterback for no reason, or you and the receiver is y'all fighting. Like that stuff that you can control. You can't have none of that.
Mm-hmm.
No cheap plays, no cheap yardages. Like you have to play a perfect game if you truly want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's just how it goes. Like you
But
got to do
would
that.
you would you say it's a little bit unfair when you have to have so much decisiveness and execution on one side and then on the other side, maybe a little bump sometimes. I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
I
and they
like
take
I want to
advantage
bring
of
up I
it.
want to bring up the first down in the Bills game. Like you said, that was the first down.
It was.
They didn't get it to
But
him.
if you ran the ball earlier in the game, not early, I'm not talking about the first quarter, first. I'm talking about that the drive before that when they had to punt because
Mm-hmm.
they had to punt the ball and then they luckily got the ball back. But they had to punt the
Mm-hmm.
ball before. If they ran the ball before that and got some yardage and got some points, or either ran the clock out, then you wouldn't be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Score a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal. You know what I mean? Like even when we go back like earlier in the season when the Falcons played the Chiefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got that call versus Pitts that the pass interference that should have been called that wasn't called. But then we got the ball in the red zone towards the end of the game. Tyler Jew doesn't block Nick Bolton, and he comes from McSack loss on 4th and 1 or 4th and inches.
Mm-hmm.
That's on us. That's on the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
You got to execute the play.
True.
If you execute the play, you win the game. It's that simple. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it could be unfair, but what in life is fair? Nothing is fair.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you gotta play the game as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understandable. I think, they spoke to it the other day, or was it yesterday, during media day. Why does everyone hate them? And of course, if you're the Chiefs, you don't care. You win championships. Uh, but
Exactly.
obviously, but obviously, there is a lot of hate surrounding the team, which is the same, kind of hate that circulated around the Patriots. Who was more egregious when it came to winning and people thinking that there was some sort of cheating going on to this
Tom
point?
Brady.
Tom Brady, by far. What's the scale?
He
What's the
has
scale?
a zillion. He has a case against him. He has two cases. You can't listen. Patrick Holmes, I love that he's doing what he's doing for black football players, black quarterbacks. But those calls are egregious, and I get it. But Tom Brady went to deflating football. The Patriots and them was Spygate, flying over folks' practices, filming practices. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. They flat out got called out for cheating. Tom Brady was suspended for games for that. Patrick Mahomes ain't never been suspended for nothing. So that's an easy question.
Yeah, they have a name. They have a name after Brady. They have a rule after Brady. I mean,
Well, yeah, you got the
the Tuck
Brady. You
rule.
changed the whole change of the game.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. So I guess last question, and obviously inevitable. Who do you think is going to win? Why? And what is your score prediction?
I'm not an Eagles fan. Y'all know I'm not, and I really don't like the Eagles. But I do think that the Eagles are the best team to beat the Chiefs. I think they match up perfectly. They got the receivers. They got Saquon.
Hmm.
Like Saquon literally can take one play that should go for 5 yards and turn it to 70 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? So I think that defensively they have the players. They can play man. They can play zone. They can bring
Hmm.
pressure with four. They can bring a blitz pressure and do it that way. I think that they have the team, and then they have the mobile quarterback with Jalen Hurts, which I don't think we talked about enough in this
Hmm.
episode. But Jalen Hurts, like you said, is a major key to their success. Because I mean, even in the Super Bowl last year, he played one of the best games against Patrick Mahomes and one of the best games in Super Bowl history. But then he had the one fumble.
Yeah, that got returned for a touchdown.
Right. So if you take that
Mhm.
play away, we could be having a different conversation about the Kansas City Chiefs. You see what I'm saying? So again, like that experience, that's the plus side to that experience. Is now he has that experience of what happens when you make that one mistake and how that can harm you. So now
Mhm.
this time, I don't think he makes that same mistake.
Mhm.
I don't think he makes that mistake that will harm him in the game. I think the Eagles can pull it out.
Mhm. I understand. I mean, like we were saying earlier, I think Jalen Hurts is the key on offense. I think that young D line, the young members of that front seven D line, are the key on the other end because, like you said, it's going to be about getting Patrick Mahomes down, and
Hmm.
honestly, making sure that Kansas City's running backs, because obviously at this point, with Pacheco having dealing with injuries throughout the season, and
But
you
he's
got to
back
over,
healthy now.
yeah, he's back healthy, but you can kind of see that you only get the explosiveness that we've seen from him like last Super Bowl or last season. I mean, it's coming back, but it's really more by committee this year because
Hmm.
they got
I
Kareem
mean,
Hunt. Yeah.
Samaje P. Ryan won the Chiefs the game. Like he ain't played the entire game, and they put him in on third and medium to catch a ball for a first down
Mhm.
of all people. Like that's crazy. But go back
Yes,
to what you're
yes,
saying, like by committee. Go back to what you were saying, but
yeah. But no, that's exactly what I'm saying. They've been doing it by committee. So if that front seven from the Eagles can shut that down, and honestly, a key that we haven't hit on, I mean, that we can hit on real quick before I give my prediction, is that secondary
hmm
for for the Eagles. Now they have a couple good rookies. That's why I'm saying they're young. They have a couple good rookies that haven't played like rookies, but Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. They got CJ Gardner Johnson back there. Like now versus the receiving core that's really vets, except for Worthy.
hmm
So like you got Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelsey. Is there anyone else I'm missing? I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. But it's really, if you really want to boil it
Oh,
down,
Juju.
Juju, yeah, Juju Smith Schuster. It's really vets versus young dudes.
Yeah.
If we really getting into it, that front seven is very young. That secondary is like honestly
Well, I
very
mean,
young too.
but then you get the same thing for the Chiefs, though. I mean, the Chiefs defense is pretty much all their cornerstones on the Chiefs defense are all on rookie contracts. They're
Mm,
either second year, first year players. So
hmm
it's really just two young teams outside of the quarterback position and Kelsey. The whole team, both teams are pretty much young,
hmm
and the receivers, like you said,
hmm
for the Chiefs. Um, I think it's just gonna be a good matchup. But go ahead with your prediction.
Okay, my prediction. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna take the Chiefs.
Hmm.
I don't, I bet it against Brady a bunch of times, not like actually with money, but
Right, but you
but
trust your
like I just
boys.
like, oh, Brady not gonna win, and
Right.
Brady won. I said that Brock Purdy was gonna come in and solidify that he's like, oh, I'm kind of like the new Tom Brady now. I'm gonna come in and take Patrick Mahomes down. But Patrick Mahomes was like, nah, little bro, send him home. So I'm not betting against the Chiefs this time. Also, I really don't like y'all Philadelphia fans. I'm sorry.
Oh Lord, the hate is coming.
And guess what? Guess what,
The
Philadelphia? We beat you. We beat you this
Lord,
season.
the
This
D.
season. Wallow
See,
in it.
Steven. This is where we differ.
Wallow in it.
This is where we differ as fans because yeah, we beat them, but we all know Saquon
Wallow
dropped
in
that
it.
ball. Saquon dropped that ball. If he don't drop that ball, it was a totally
Hey,
different game. That's
hey,
true. You're
hey,
right.
he
Take
better
it.
not drop no ball this time.
But at the end of the day, the reality is we want to be where they are. That's
Yeah,
the
we
reality
do.
of
We
it.
do. It's respect, but it's really not respect. But it's respect though. But I don't think y'all gonna win. I think and that's not really disrespect. It's just speaking to like the Chiefs and like you see them always making these winning time plays. I will say
Yeah,
even with the help with the refs and even with the help with the calls and everything, the Chiefs just know how to win.
yeah,
And
that's true.
that is a very
That's
underrated
true.
skill to have as a team
That's
because if
true.
you know how to win, it doesn't matter what you do. I
Mm-hmm.
know how to make the right play at the right time every single time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna matter what you do. I'm gonna win.
That's
So
true.
if
That's a great point.
Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia's best chance is because we've seen the Chiefs come back from being down a lot,
Yeah.
i.e. versus Deshaun Watson Texans, and that was a lot of this team now. So my prediction is the Chiefs win. They win by stifling Saquon and limiting Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying that he won't have a good game, but if he's limited and is not able to play to his full potential, this is like the game where everyone has to play to their full potential for them to win. And I just don't think every single Eagles member is going to be able to do that, honestly. The Chiefs have shown that they can do it time and time again, even without people playing their best. So it's really everything for the Eagles to prove, honestly. So we'll see if we can prove it. I'm not completely counting them out, but I just don't think at this moment right now, I don't think every single player is gonna show up
So
the
what's
way.
your score prediction?
My score prediction, I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be I think it's going to be Chiefs win by a field goal, and I think it's gonna be 24-21.
Ooh. Ooh, the NFL don't like you. That's too low scoring for them. They ain't gonna like
I
that.
just think I think defense is gonna reign supreme in this game, and it's really going to be a defensive battle, honestly. Who's gonna edge
I
it out?
I think I think the game is gonna be I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be 38-35 Eagles in
Okay.
overtime. I think it's gonna go back to
OT?
overtime.
OT? Okay.
I think you're gonna kind of get the same game that you got 2 years ago, but I think the Eagles pulled it out this time. I think that's
Okay.
the only difference.
Okay. So you think it's just gonna be like a little flip reverse?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I could also see that happening. I don't know. I just think there's gonna be so much emphasis on like of course the Kansas City offense because like it's Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes. But there's gonna be so much emphasis on Saquon. So much. That's why I'm
Which
saying
means which
really
means
Jalen Hurts is the key.
AJ Brown, look for Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, or Devontae Smith for MVP.
Yeah. Now if Jalen Hurts has a game like he did last time without the turnover for a touchdown, okay, it's gonna be hard to beat the Eagles. But Jalen Hurts
And
gotta play.
hey, hey, watch this too. I think this how the game goes. Philadelphia is up 35-28
Hmm.
with a minute to go. They got to punt the ball. Patrick Mahomes drives down the field. They take it to OT. Patrick Mahomes gets the ball first. Doesn't get
Turnover.
any points. Doesn't get any points. They don't turn
Not
on the
getting
ball.
points.
Don't get any points. Got to punt it. And then Philly goes down, gets a field goal range, can't score a touchdown, so kick field goal for the win. I think that's how it
Okay.
goes.
Okay. We also have to acknowledge that both teams have really good field goal kickers.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it'll be a defensive game because like you're probably not gonna see a lot of going for it on fourth down. Maybe by the Eagles, maybe not as much
I'm
by
about to say Sirianni is gonna go for it
yeah,
multiple times on fourth down. You're gonna
yeah.
see, and like I said,
But
the only concern I
that
got,
could be his downfall though.
that I'm saying that's the
Doesn't
only
get those.
concern. That's the biggest concern I
He
have
better use his
with the
kicker.
Eagles. That's
He
the
better
only
use his
concern I
kicker.
have because I just know that he gonna try to come out. He gonna have this trick play that he drew up on the whiteboard. He gonna be like, "Ooh, this gonna work," and they gonna go out there and they gonna have Devontae Smith throwing the interception. Lord, I can see it happening.
Mhm.
I can
But
see it happening.
but so those are our predictions for this Super Bowl Sunday coming up this week. Um, Pretty good episode.
Yeah,
We'll see what happens. Of course, we're gonna come back with the recap. We're gonna recap a lot of different things like the NFL season as a whole and college football as a whole and the state of NIL. We still need to do that. The state of NIL and what players and coaches think about it. So look for that from us. Any last words, Cam? We have about a minute.
no last words. Yeah, no last words. Be blessed. Be safe.
Be blessed, be safe, and remember to check out Real Talk with Stephen and Cam on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Anything. It's really like, the username is just Real Talk with Stephen and Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come mess with us. Come mess with your boys. But yeah, hope everyone has a blessed day or night whenever you're watching this, or if you're watching the clips or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But appreciate y'all, and we are
Peace.
out. Keep on hunting always. Righty white.
Yeah, cut that out. Cut that out. You need to end it right. End point is right there. Keep on it.